With Joe Madden. Of course, it's my favorite day of the week during my favorite time of the year, college football Saturday. It is week 8. Kind of now it just seems like, we went from no sports, in 2020 to now. I just feel like I'm in that overload sports zone. And, what are they going to do? Pile on college basketball in just a couple weeks. I'm excited about everything that's going on. College football, they stopped the card kind of early tonight, except for we have the Hawaii game, which is late, but then the card really stops at like 7:30 Eastern time tonight for college football. Then the NBA takes over, but next week it's all back to normal, where it's, we have the normal mix of early and late games. How you doing today, Joe?
I'm good. I'm so excited for all these games that we have today. My whole plan for the day is to be on my couch and have as many games playing at the same time.
Yeah, that sounds like a solid plan to me. My wife is, getting up early to get me malasada is one of my favorite things. It's these Portuguese donuts, I think they are, or some kind of donuts. They're like these. It's not really a donut, but then I don't know.
Okay, so when it's not your birthday month, year, does she still get you all of these treats?
No, not
okay.
It is my birthday.
It is your birthday.
Yes.
Officially your birthday tomorrow.
Is today your birthday?
No, it's been my birthday for about 3 weeks, and it will continue for another week or so. When you get to be my age, you really get to celebrate them. But anyways, we've got a slew of guests. We've got Joe and Dion again. We've got Jovan is here. We've got Brian Bittler. Rod will be here. Chris Ruffalo is supposed to be here. And Al McMorty. So not our full card of guests, but we'll just give everybody a little bit of extra time to make it happen. And then, of course, everyone will have plenty of time to get their bets in. We also, with NBA starting, I'm not sure how we're going to work it, but I definitely want to cover NBA every day. I do in the videos, but I want to figure out how to do, the show and everything with NBA. So we'll figure that out along the way as well. But, yeah, just a lot of good stuff to go on. But let's bring in Joe and Dion and see what they're up to out in Vegas. Good morning. How are you?
Morning, guys. How is everyone?
Hi. How is everyone?
We are here, which is I woke up, and that's step one.
Hi, guys. We have dogs running around, Mitch. I'm sorry about that. It's just like very exciting. Even the dogs are excited about you, Joe, Brian, Joanne, and the morning show. I apologize. They were running across back and forth. I didn't mean to cut you off, but the dogs are barking and going crazy.
It happens. We all have we have the dogs. I took Sam to the beach yesterday. He goes to the beach all the time, but yeah, he gets super, super excited, and then he kind of leaves it all out on the table. He's just wiped by the time he gets to the car.
I wish see Dion wishes I would get like that when she takes me out every once in a while. Unfortunately, prior to the show, Joe Madden and us we were talking, and she's a big espresso person, and I'm a big espresso person. I'm on my I have 4 shots in each. I think it's my second or third cup with 4 shots each. So I should be up until at least early January. So I should be fine. But it's a great time of year, Mitch. I know you always ask about Vegas, man. We were on the Strip yesterday. We're going to see a show tonight. And it is just packed with great people. The weather's amazing. I know, you and I, you being on the beautiful island of Hawaii, and we talk about weather so much because we're weather people, especially you coming from the Midwest and me coming from New York. No more of those harsh winters or the crazy springs and falls. It's usually just warm. In Vegas, it's warm to hot, and same thing where you are. But it has been gorgeous lately. We were on the Strip yesterday, and it is crowded. And you know what I have seen? I thought you might take a lot of interest in this. Is I've seen as many NBA basketball jerseys and shirts and college basketball jerseys and shirts as I have baseball and NFL and college football jerseys and shirts on the streets. Just people walking. People are excited about basketball. You mentioned basketball a few minutes ago, and it is really exciting, and I'm glad it's kicked off. I know everybody's happy that this, We don't have the restrictions or the issues that we had to deal with the last few seasons and whatnot. But it's just a great time of year, and I love seeing people with the basketball right now. You know, baseball is ending. We know that. Hockey's just beginning. But I see tons of people. North Carolina, Duke in college basketball. I saw some Syracuse Orange for maybe college football, but I did see a Syracuse Orange basketball, college basketball jersey. So people are psyched with college basketball just around the corner.
Yeah, we don't sleep on hoops here at Pick Dogs or at our other site, Sports Chat Place. I told Joe that when she joined us, you know, that a lot of these other sites, they kind of just, everyone just all in on football, but for us, we just treat it like another sport. And, you know, basketball rolls around, we treat it like, you know, we treat it equal as football, if not, you know, in some cases even more, because there's a lot more games to cover, you know, with every team playing 82 games. And this year it's a real season in the NBA. It's not like this abbreviated season. And, you know, it started last year, they started the NBA season on Christmas Day. And this year they started it at its normal time, which is good in the respect that now it is the full 82 games. They started at Christmas last year, but it was an abbreviated season. And this year it's the full 82 games. So it will still take us into the summer. And, you know, I don't know what we're going to do then when it's just baseball, but it's kind of, you know, it's the way it's always been for us, right? You know, we have those couple months. You normally take like a couple weeks off, decompress there. I wish I could do that, and maybe I will at some point in my life. But, you know, it is starting to feel a lot more normal, at least in the sports world. And I think having the fans in the stands has been a big part of it for me, you know, because it's like, you know, I thought that, you know, I think handicapping without the fans in the stands is next to impossible. It takes the home court advantage right out of the game.
Absolutely, particularly on the college level when you're looking at college football or whatnot. I mean, really, I don't want to say it's a 12th man or a 6th man on a basketball court, but it does. And I really do think it did affect the NBA last year as well. You know, it's as the NBA is a more intimate sport because you got 5 guys dressed in shorts, no masks, no helmets, no covered body. You can see their faces one-on-one, and a lot of these guys are young kids that are used to playing in front of large crowds, cheering them on or whatnot. And I think that affected it a lot. I mean, one thing I do not want to hear is you know, crickets when I go to a sporting event, and you know, and to be honest, those phony cheers, those laugh tracked, you know, those.
Cardboard cutouts and canned fan noises, like that was the worst part of it.
Although I will say it's nice to see cardboard cutouts in certain areas, like in Fenway, because their fans are very unattractive.
They also count freeze bad, so that's a good thing.
Field, you know, they're not very good looking over there. And I'm a Yankee. I'm a New York fan, so I like to mess with all those other fans. But you know, it's some places it was good to see cardboard cutouts. But no, I agree with you.
It's the hate mail you're going to get today.
Oh, that's fine. Listen, if they're gonna hate me on just those comments and not my voice and the other things I said, it's a winning day for Joe Demetriou, Joe Madden. It's a wonderful day. But you know, it really does play a huge part. You know, I have some friends that are ex-baseball players that are played on championship teams over the years. They come by my house and they talked over the last year on how, you know, it's a big difference playing not for the guys playing currently, that they weren't playing in front of packed houses or yelling fans. Even on the road, it is a big motivator when people are booing you or cheering for the other side, and it's a big part of the stadium. And they said it takes a big part of the way, and the purity of the game, Mitch. Which as a sports fan, you know how that is. You're a huge sports fan. It goes without saying. It's great to hear and see people in the stands cheering, yelling, and it's great. It's great for the whole country too, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I think I get booed every day on the internet, so I'm kind of used to it. Fortunately, didn't matter if fans in the stand. I think we have the common theme here. It's like we have the creep show for Joe, and then we have I get booed every day. So it's always like, "Hi, Joe, how you doing?" It's like, yeah, I'm just sitting here. You know, it's like
they mean to put Mitch into. My name's just shorter.
Yeah, I don't think so. Anyways, what do you guys have for us today? Joe, you got a free pick for us?
Absolutely. I have one free game for everybody. We're going to lay some wood here, Mitch, but I'm not afraid to lay that wood, especially on the collegiate level. Sports friends, in their 4 losses this season, Rice has been outscored 185-24. Now, granted, Arkansas, Houston, Texas, and UTSA, they're all formidable foes. By the way, say formidable foes 5 times fast. You'll have a lot of fun. But so is UAB a formidable foe. The Blazers are picking up some steam. 3-1 mark, both straight up and against the spread over the last month. Their offense is getting stronger and stronger with each outing. But it has been their defense, guys, that has stood out. Against the rush, the pass, total yards allowed, outstanding. Overall, their stop unit ranks 21st nationally. They yield only 19 points per game. My friends, the Owls only account for a paltry 16 points per game to begin with. Look for UAB's stout defense to completely shut down the Rice offense. This will allow the well-balanced Blazers O to wear down the Owls D. Move the chains at will, light up the scoreboard. If you are concerned about Dylan Hopkins, guys, he's their quarterback, about his status, don't be. Even if he does not go, backup Tyler Johnston will be ready, willing, and able to fill in without skipping the beat. Couple of ATS numbers real quick. Rice, 0-5 the last 5 games played at UAB. 1-4 the last 5 games played on the road. 0-4 the last 4 games played as a dog. 1-5 the last 6 overall. They just crush bettors in every aspect. Guys, laying the points here with UAB, who I still think needs some style points. They need to beat up. They've got a couple of big conference matchups over the next month. They need some style points here. Lay 23.5, guys. They'll win by 32 to 35 points.
Joe Madden, what do you think of this?
Oh, I absolutely love it. I don't see Rice actually even being able to score today, which is another reason I'm looking at that under in this game too. I think UAB is just too strong. They're going to play a ground and pound sort of game against this Rice team, who worst offense in the league, 5.67 points per game on the road they're scoring. It's absolutely terrible. Take UAB all the way, and I'm leaning on that under too.
Yeah, normally I'm all over the Owls like white on rice, but this year it's like I've been on the other side of them too. It's like they're offensive, man. It is offensive to watch. It's not fair for the rest of us. Rice is always like that place where, like, you know, the guys who were like, you know, supposed to be the really good quarterback or something, and they end up transferring to Rice, you know, and it's like, well, we find out why they didn't start where they were, and you know, it's just. To me, it's like it's all come together in one cesspool this year over at Rice. It is terrible. I mean, UTSA against them just absolutely. I had UTSA against them, and they just absolutely blistered them. I mean, it was over it was like a Tyson fight. It was like over, and like it's like you didn't even get to sit down. You know, it's like the chair's still cold. It's like you know, it's like I don't get it. I don't understand what they're doing there. They could be better than this. Thing is, you have those good academic schools, Rice, Stanford, Northwestern, Duke, you know, and they don't have to be good every year, you know, because of the academic requirement. Vandy, you know, there's a bunch of these out there, but I don't know. At Rice, they just seem to have lost it. You know, and maybe they don't find it again. But you got to figure with all that to offer the students, you know, maybe work those Duke and Stanford angles. You know, where it's like I'm not really sure what they do to save this program, but it appears to be spiraling in the wrong direction.
I agree. You know, you gotta bring up. I gotta tell you, I know we have a few less people on the panel, and I know you long for my little quips and stories. I got to tell you something funny real quick. It has some bearing. So if you remember when Peter McNeely fought Tyson, I went to the fight. I was involved with a company who was very big with some athletes at the time. And I went to the fight with Christian Okoye, Nigerian Nightmare, Eric Dickerson, my friend Johnny, who had passed away since. We're sitting in the first row, and we're talking as the fight goes on. We're talking. Fight was over, Mitch. Fight was over. Christian Okoye, who's the sweetest guy ever. He hit like a truck. He was the sweetest guy ever. Looked up, looked around, and he done not a cursor. He said, "What the F happened?" And I'll never forget it because I never heard him curse. Just one of those things. And you're right about UTSA and Rice. It was over before it began. I just see this team. I don't see them, you know, competing. I mean, I don't even see them putting up. Honestly, they should just, you know, send in the cheerleaders, the water boys, the towel guys. They might as well at least they might have a little more heart. I feel bad for the team. And as you said, over the years, they were a team that you could maybe keep an eye on for a backdoor cover or cover those larger spreads against some better teams. But it's ugly. It really is ugly. And I like the game. I got some other good things on the board today. I'm very excited about it. It's going to be another great weekend here at Pick Dogs.
Should be. How about you, Dion? What are you looking at?
Well, I have one game for you today. This is a good spot for Temple to get back above 500. They are well rested coming off of a bye week. Getting points against a South Florida team they have beaten the last 3 straight up. The Owls and their 8th-ranked pass defense get to face a very shaky quarterback in Timmy McClain. The true freshman has more INTs than TDs. The underdog in this series has covered 6 of the last 7 meetings, while the Bulls are just 2-7 against the spread. Their last 9 is a home favorite. So I'm going to take the points with Temple here.
No problem with that one. How about you, Joe?
Yeah, this is one I've been looking at, and I love Temple at plus 3.5. I'm not sure I love them at plus 2, what we're getting this morning. This is one I'm definitely going to stay off. I think we're going to see a tight game. And around that field goal, I loved it, but not at 2 points. So I'm off it. I hear what you say, though. South Florida sucks. So Temple should. They do. Right? They're 1-5 on the season right now. They've got an okay run game. That's about all they have substantial for them.
They've played a pretty tough schedule, South Florida, too. I think, we got to give them credit for that. They played Florida at home, and they played at BYU. They played, I'm not looking at the schedule, but I know the games that I've watched. And, they've shown sparks, right? But I think Temple, we're still might be getting a little bit of credit, like a little bit of a bonus in there for Temple backers because of how bad they were last year, and it's like they were so bad. Like certain teams, Temple was one of those teams last year, and I know I have this ridiculous memory, which it's a blessing and a curse, trust me. But Temple was one of those teams last year that kept showing up at the stadium and the game would get canceled at kickoff. It happened to them like 5 or 6 times. They didn't play their season opener until November. And they weren't like the Big Ten or the one of those conferences that or the Pac-12, right? That they decided to start their season at the end of October. They were a team that started at the beginning of the season, and it's like there's only so many times you could show up to the stadium and not play before it starts to wear on you. We saw that from Temple last year. I think this year they've come to play and they know the game's going to happen, so they seem to be a little bit more prepared. I think Temple is one of those programs. It's kind of a coach's breeding ground, right? Where they this is where some of the really good coaches come from. Keeping them is a whole nother issue there, but I like them here against South Florida. Should be a good game. I like the way Temple. Joe and I were talking about college traditions and mascots and things. Temple has that really cool tradition that they give the guys for each week the single digit numbers. Right, and then they change them out each week. The guys that get the single digit numbers, and those are the guys this week that are all fired up, and it's kind of like, does Texas A&M still pick a fan out of the stands to play on the kickoff team? They used to do that. It's what
I don't know over the last year or so.
Yeah,
but I remember when they used to do that. It's just fun stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they still do it or not. They call it the 12th man. They just find some guy on campus and suit him up, and he comes out and plays on the kickoff.
You got to admit, down in Texas, you have a very large pool of guys that you can pull a guy off the street on the corner selling hot dogs, and he could probably be on the practice team for some of those teams. It's not like you're going in some of these smaller cities or smaller states that you don't have a very large pool to choose from. Down in Texas, man, every second or third guy that you see on the street probably played Division II football, so it's exciting.
Well, you never see me more well-behaved or polite than rodeo week in Vegas. Those guys scare the crap out of me. They're the nicest people in the world. And it's like they scare the crap out of me, man. Those guys are just, oh, man. You don't want to mess with them. These guys tackle bulls for fun, It's like you just don't want to be on the wrong side of that. These are
tough guys, and a lot of them are like small. They're like,
oh, yeah. Small, wiry guys, man. It's like, it's unbelievable. It's like you see him out there. It's like they just grab this giant steer by the horns. It's like, whoa. I think I'm gonna be super nice to these people.
We should do that. We should do a bet here, and the loser has to go ride a bull somewhere. And because I'd love to see one of us on the bull.
Like a real bull?
Well,
we could go to Gillies at Treasure Island.
They can do the fake pet bulls. Fake pet bulls, I'll do. Not real.
I know I'm
We have
full.
a few of
I'm
those around
full
here.
of bull, but no, I mean like one of those mechanical bulls.
Yeah, mechanical all the way. I'm in.
Got it. Very excited. Oh,
All right. Well, what do you guys have for sale today at Pick Dogs?
you go first.
Well, right now I'm 19-14 this season in college football, and today I have 3 big winners in my NCAA football best bet, my Lady Luck, and my 75% no limit. I also posted a 3-game discounted package right here at Pick Dogs.
Oh, that's good. She's running so hot, she's kicking my butt in college football. I bought her package today because once again, she won't tell me who she's got. I asked her, she's in the next office. Who do you like this Saturday? She told me again. She said it again this week.
It's none of your business.
None of my business. If you want it, go buy it on Pick Dogs. Mitch, I have a good thing going on today. Between college and pro football, my big game release is 18-5 this season. I have 2 premium plays on the board today. My ACC game of the month. My games of the month went 2-0 last Saturday. They are 3-1 so far this season in college football in the conference games of the month. I have my 7-1. That's right, 7-1 this season consensus play. Get on these 2 big games together. We'll kill your book. I also posted, I know it's a football show, my MLB NLCS game of the month. And just for our people out there that are trying to dip their toe in the NBA waters, I'm 3-0 in NBA so far. I've got a great season discounted package over at Pick Dogs. Take advantage of any of those right now. They'll pay for itself day 1 or day 2. The rest is icing on the cake.
Yeah, those season packages. The NBA runs into May. So it is. What is it? It's October. So it's this. Great time to hop on one of those season passes for sure. I haven't really been saying a lot about that, but it is true. Anyways, thanks for joining us. We're not going to see you tomorrow. We'll miss you. Maybe we'll just call you anyway. Plug you into the
See how you're feeling tomorrow morning.
We'll act like it's urgent and then put you on the air.
I'll tell you what, I might still be out. We're going to see. We may not be coherent. We're going to go see Mark Anthony over at Mandalay Bay. And one of the other things I do for fun here, because I love Vegas, I have a national entertainment column. I'm actually doing a one-on-one interview with him at the after party, which I'm set up to also do an interview with Gwen Stefani, who we're going to see next week. So I have 2 interviews, like at 2-3 in the morning, and we do this show at 7 a.m. If I'm home by 7 a.m., I'll definitely do the show. And well, I'll let you guys judge and see if I'm coherent. You guys might put me in the green room. You know what, Joe? Just enjoy the day. Thanks for having us, Mitch, Joe. I can't wait. I'm going to watch a little bit because my bash brother Brian Bittler's coming up. Joe Vaughn, who is just on fire. My other Italian Goomba from up north, Chris Ruffalo. I know Rowdy Zawaki's on today. It's going to be a great show. I wish everybody out there luck and have a winning day, guys. Thanks for having us, Joe and Mitch. I love you guys.
Thanks again for joining us, Joe. Once again.
Best of luck today, both of you.
Bye. Have a good weekend.
Bye-bye.
Joe and Dion can get their picks over at Pick Dogs. Of course, Dion has been on fire in college football.
Oh, she's killing it.
And Joe has been off to the hot start in the NBA. So a lot of winning tickets are cashing over there at the D'Amico house. I guess
absolutely.
Those of you that are wine drinkers, maybe a good time to visit the D'Amico's. Maybe it's elevated to the next level. Though I'm sure it's always good there. Anyways, well, we've got a full card here. We've got NBA. We've got it's just like I said. It's kind of that time of year. My head is kind of spinning here. I'm trying to answer customer service emails, do YouTube, and then I'm also co-hosting the show with you, Joe. So kind of going around in circles, but we always seem to get it done. We've got so Ron Romanelli not with us. I kind of feel weird, right, without Ron.
Yeah, so do I.
It's kind of like,
Yeah, I think he should be there tomorrow.
He said he'd be back tomorrow, right?
Hopefully. He's hoping so.
We could bring in Jovan, right? Next. Is that good with you?
Yeah, let's bring in Jovan.
Is that okay with you, Joe?
He's crushing it. So let's get these bets out to everyone.
All right. Let's bring in Jovan from Boston. Jovan, how's the weather in Boston these days? I know that Joe is starting to get cold over there in Canada. So I don't know. It's I don't know the meaning of it, but I spent many winters. I went to college in Boston, so I know it's I've never fell on the ice. Like, I've been in other winter cities and I've lived in other winter cities. I just never fell on the ice as much as I did when I lived in Boston. I'm not sure if it was back from my drinking days or if it was just they have a lot of ice in that city.
Oh, it's just because they don't treat the sidewalks well.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it was always on my ass there. It just felt like I was just always falling down. It's a great town, though. It is really a really good one, and I definitely enjoyed my 6 years of college. But anyways, got college football, NBA, got it all going on today. What do you have? What do you have going on?
So I have two plays that I'm going to share, both out of the Big Ten. First we're going to tackle this Illinois at Penn State game. Now, bottom line is Penn State's just a far better team. We all know that, and most stats on both sides of the ball bear that out. So this is going to be one of those games where rain's a factor. It's going to be raining out there, 77 or 78, whatever % chance of rain. Last time I checked. So, Penn State, they move the ball through the air more than more this year than in past years. They usually their history is that of being a running team. But in this game, they're gonna march up and down the field on the ground against this Illinois team that's ranked 87th in the nation in run defense. And when they do pass the ball, it gets even worse for Illinois because they're 109th ranked, in the land in pass defense. We don't know if Sean Cliff is gonna play. His status is still questionable. Last time I checked, that was the reports. It's a noon game, so it might be a game time decision with him. But regardless of whether it's a backup or Clifford, I think that the way this game is going to shape up with being a ground game, I just see that the way I see this game is that Illinois isn't going to have many chances at getting points, and I expect Penn State, regardless of who they have on the field at quarterback, to get at least a 30 spot, 31, 35 points. So I think they cover this 24-point spread.
Joe, what do you think here?
Yeah, I'm with you on this. This Illinois team struggles to put up points, especially on the road. 11.5 points on the road so far this season. Penn State is just too good. I hear you on they just have such a great passing offense, which is going to be hard in this rain, but I don't think so against this defense of Illinois. I am looking at an under game because I believe what you say, they're going to get over that 24-point spread, but I don't see Illinois putting up the difference to get it over 46.5. So under and Penn State in this one for me.
Yeah, 48 degrees and rainy. You got a team that just does not turn the ball over in Penn State. And that is it's not. So James Franklin, this is a guy, he won at Vandy, right? That pretty much says it all on your resume. He was a winning coach at Vandy, and a bowl coach. He took Vandy to bowl games. That's no small feat. Really, I don't know if any of you saw the Vandy Georgia game, but just think about that program in a bowl game. So this guy certainly knows how to win. He's not traditionally a great cover coach, but the thing is that this team does not turn the ball over. And it's if they don't turn the ball over, this game could get into the 60s because Illinois is Brett Bielema. He's a little sloppier. I'll say he doesn't have the talent level that Penn State has. And while Penn State has those generic uniforms, and sometimes it makes their players look a little bit less, more generic, right? They're loaded. It's Penn State. Top 10 recruiting class every single year. So expect to see, as we've heard so far, pretty one-sided game. It's just a matter of what this number gets to be. I think what happens in these games sometimes, and the only thing to look out for with the big number is and the thing that I always worry about when it's a big number, is when the shutout is gone, then things change. It's if they're playing for a shutout, well, then they're playing for a shutout. And it's they will continue to really grind it. But if they're not playing for the shutout any longer, they will allow some cheapies. So you just have to watch out for those. keep an eye on it. Maybe something that you look at halftime as well. But I'm with you guys so far. What else we got?
So next we're gonna look at this Wisconsin at Purdue game. Purdue got their big win against Iowa last week. Just a thorough domination. From the Boilermakers. But this week they got to face Wisconsin, and they're just miserable against Wisconsin. Wisconsin has owned them for over a decade, and Wisconsin is 7-0 against the spread versus Purdue in their last 7, and 11-3 in their last ATS in the last 14 meetings. That right there just says it alone. Whether they're underdogs, whether they're favorites or what. Purdue's also 1-5 ATS in their last 6 home games, and while both teams are anemic offensively, the difference is in their defense, and both teams are good on the defensive side of the ball, but Wisconsin is just that much better on the defensive end, and I think that's the difference with this game. So whether it's a defensive touchdown, a defensive score for Wisconsin, or or just how the game goes in the with the run games. I just think that Wisconsin pulls out a 4 to 7 point win over this Purdue team, and just misery continues for the Boilermakers against the Badgers.
Joe Madden.
Yeah, I hear you on this one. This is one where we saw Purdue open as high as 5-point underdog. The line has moved. I still, I'm loving Wisconsin now because of that. When I first saw it, I thought Purdue, because I think this is going to be tighter, but at -3.5, I think Wisconsin gets this win. You're right. Purdue has been owned, and Wisconsin is dominating them 8-0 against the spread in their last 8 when playing at Purdue. So give me Wisconsin to cover these numbers. I'm also looking for a little bit of a higher one. We see both these offenses able to put up numbers. Wisconsin on the road is scoring 24 points average a game, and Purdue is 23.7. We've got a total of 40. I think it's too low.
Yeah, as a professional handicapper, you're always supposed to bet with your head and not with your heart or whatever. I'm going to throw that out the window here. I can't stand Wisconsin. I really hate Paul Chryst. This guy just irks me. He's just so uninspired when it comes to play calling. And this guy was an offensive coordinator before he was a head coach, which makes it even worse and less forgivable. The Badgers just 1-6 against the number against Big Ten teams. This is the only team they ever cover against in the Big Ten is Purdue. 1-7 against teams with a winning record. So this is a team, and I've been to Camp Randall. They love to beat up on the bad teams and act like they've actually accomplished something. It's like they got a big band too, man. They got a big stadium and a big band. They got the whole 9 yards going on there. And of course, I've spoke about the kettle corn in depth. But, the thing is that I just can't get behind Wisconsin. It's like I said, you're supposed to bet with your head, not your heart. But this is personal. I've been roasted by Chris so many times that it's like, I know that if they fall behind, they do not have a game plan to come back. It's like, he doesn't have a game. He has one game plan, and he's not great at making halftime adjustments. While Jeff Brom, he's more willing to try some different things. He doesn't have as much talent. We saw them lose at home to Minnesota, but in hindsight, Minnesota beats Nebraska the next time out, so maybe it's not as bad of a loss as it looks like, and that one was in the rain too. And then, what we've seen Wisconsin, we saw in their losses, the Notre Dame loss, the Michigan loss, and these were at home. These were, the Michigan loss was at home. The Notre Dame loss was at Soldier. But these were games that were relatively close for 3 quarters that turned into absolute blowouts because of his ineptitude and his unwillingness to throw the ball down the field and take a shot. I mean, this is the school that has brought us, some pretty decent wide receivers over the years. And they normally have like these lanky, tall guys. It's like throwing out there, man. It's freaking Wisconsin. You got to have someone that could flat out run. This is the school that brought us James White and, Jonathan Taylor, right? I mean, these are sprinters. It's like someone on this team can run where you can at least take a shot to throw the ball 6. I mean, it's 3rd and 9. Maybe you don't run the draw play on this time. You know, maybe throw the tight end over the middle for maybe 11 yards, not 4 yards, right? Which is the play he calls. I don't understand the play calling there. Yeah, it's personal. I think Wisconsin, when it comes to talent level, is far and above. And they should win this game by 20. But with Paul Chryst, he's a liability. Can't stand him. Watch Miami hire him.
I hope not for you.
That's what'll happen to me. You know, it's like
connection.
There's the Barry Alvarez connection, but that's about it. Miami will probably still go after Barry Alvarez. You know, it's like he's like 100 now. It's like tried to get him like 20 times. But yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see who the next Miami coach is. I hope it's that Matt Campbell at Iowa State. That's what I'm rooting for. Anyways, what do you got for sale today? What do you think of the NBA? How about your Celtics last night? What the heck happened there?
Yeah, how about them?
That was terrible.
Hey, I don't know how this season's starting for them. With everything that changed, it was supposed to be different. You know, the first game, you know, they was leading most of the game. Then, you know, they went down.
Brown
by like
was
10,
off the
11
chain
points.
in that first game. That was
Tatum
unbelievable. That was
right. But Tatum wasn't.
Oh,
and then
he's
both
been
of them yesterday weren't.
Since the middle of last season, he has been a bricklayer. And now he's afraid to shoot at all. Now he doesn't shoot at all.
Well, you can't say that because he down the stretch, he did have those 50-point games like 3 or 4 different times. You know, but
this year, took 150 shots, though. You know, it's like.
Yeah. You know, hey, volume scorers. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, this year, I don't know. Maybe it's because he bulked up. I'm not sure. But he's bricking a lot of shots. You know, and he still doesn't want to go in the paint. You know, he's skilled enough to go in the paint and live at the free throw line. But he doesn't want to do it. I don't know. It's a hard thing, maybe.
I don't know. I thought like when in the Knick game when Kemba Walker decided to walk away from Marcus Smart when he's standing behind the 3-point line to take a shot, I thought the Celtics, you know, maybe that was a sign. But you know, what we saw last night against the Raptors, that was just uncalled for. I had the Celtics in that one. That one's going to leave a mark. You know.
I did too.
Absolutely, me too.
The way it started, the way the game started, they were both sloppy. But the Celtics, you know, pulled away for a little bit, and then all of a sudden, I changed the channel. 2 minutes later, changed it back. They're down by like 6, and I'm like, what happened? They were just up like 3 or 4 points. You know what I'm saying? Then the lead for Toronto just expanded.
Yeah, well, when they were down by 4 at the half, you figure, this is nothing. They got, you know, they're gonna win by a dozen, right? Like, no way. They
scored a whopping 17 points in the third quarter.
Terrible.
Hey, but that's the way.
It was a heartbreaking game.
Could have been worse. We could have paid $400 a seat for a courtside for that or something.
That would have been bad.
Anyways, what do you got today at Pick Dogs?
Yeah, so I have nine plays going to today. You know, my Saturday shootout all day 9-pack. You know, $49.99. You know, looking to bounce back off a miserable night last night. You know, the Celtics were part of that. You know, but you know, it is what it is. You know, my Saturdays usually run hot, so you know, trying to get back to it. You know,
that's how it is. You know, it's like you go on hot runs sometimes, and then you cool off, and then you know you just stay. You always got to just stay the course. You know, that's what it's all about. Continue to fight the good fight. But we appreciate you stopping by. We'll see you tomorrow for NFL Sunday. Should be a good one. Only 11 games tomorrow, so you know, good chance to dial in and just really, you know, pick a few strong ones. I think there are some good ones on the board. So we'll see you tomorrow morning. Appreciate it.
Best of luck, Jovan.
All right, thank you.
Jovan Burtz stopping by the show. Appreciate having him on. Got several more cappers here with us. We're a few light today, but you know, that's okay. We still got each other, you know.
We do, and tons of information from these guys coming in, so It's great.
There is. It's when you see the NBA, the first few games of the season, it's always tough to figure it out. And it's like every year I say I'm going to tread lightly. I'm going to tread lightly. And it's like, I don't know. It's like, yeah, but
yeah, we were betting preseason, so treading lightly once regular starts.
Yesterday I think was one of those days for me in the NBA where I had the wrong games. Overall, I think on the NBA, I think it was like, 7-3 in my free picks or something. But, 2 of the 3 were the ones that, that I actually liked the most, the Kings and the Celtics. Instead, my next 2 were the Knicks and the Spurs, and then both of them, were good. So that's the NBA. No one's going to win them all. There's a bunch of guys that are undefeated right now, but I don't think any of them are going to be undefeated, come January. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Anyways, got still, like I said, a bunch of cappers left. We're going to bring in Ruffalo next, and we will go from there. Let's see. Where is Ruffalo? ¿Dónde está Ruffalo? Okay. Still, I don't know if I'll ever be good at these controls. I think I need like more control than what they give you. Is what it is. I need like a triple. They give you like a preview window to work with.
Okay.
But I need like a third preview.
Third preview, so you can line up the next one.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Because like we had Jovan in, so it was like I had to switch in Chris for Jovan. But if I had a third one, third set. That's the way it is. Like in a real studio, you have multiples. You can just do it. I think you can do it that way. And I think you just set them all up ahead of time that way, but I don't do it that way. I don't know why. Anyways, he's here. He's got his powdered donut eating shirt on. I mean, that is the perfect shirt for powdered donuts right there.
It's like you know me. It's like you read my mind.
It's like, I mean, if there's ever a powdered donut moment, I think we just found it.
You can't see the box off screen, but yeah, no, it's here.
If you didn't catch our show the other day, Chris, we Ruffaloed something with a side of powdered donuts. So that is why we were laughing about that.
I wasn't there for it.
You weren't.
Well, that was the box of powdered donuts that was sent to me. Okay, that makes sense now.
Got pretty good card today. College football. We have NBA basketball. We weren't gonna talk too much NBA. We're gonna kind of blend that in. Maybe do other shows. We've been talking about figuring how to get that into the schedule. The nice thing about NBA on Saturdays, at least, is that the games are late. Generally they are. So it's like we could do a later show. But what are you looking at in NBA? And of course, the NHL is your thing. The puck dogs. Lighten it up, lighten the lamp, as they say.
Yeah, we've been lighting the lamp there. For NBA, I mean, it's been, just trying to figure out, we're only a couple games in, so it's trying to find that comfort zone of, who's looking good early. And, I think it's safe to say the Magic, not so much. And, we're seeing certain teams that Dennis Freeman, we are who they thought they were, and we can see who they're going to be for the rest of the season. But there's teams that you can't figure out, like my Raptors, who, I thought they were dead in the water last night going into that game and win that game by 32 points. So it's definitely probably going to take a couple weeks as an adjustment period.
Yeah, I had, in the NHL, we did the Mitchie Pucks plays, and I took the Ducks plus the puck and a half, which is, I totally Brian Bittlered myself there because I could have had the really nice payout. They ended up, if I would have laid the reverse puck line, I would have cashed that one, and which is normally the way that I play all the other sports. Hockey's the only sport that I take that puck line, and I'll even take the minus 200 puck line. And I think I hit both of them yesterday, right? The puck lines that I took.
Yeah, you absolutely did. So I'm surprised at all these games that have been going to OT in hockey. I think we're seeing a lot more to start the season than we normally would.
It's right in his wheelhouse. That's kind of where I live. Is in those plus 1.5. And hockey, I just think when you're looking just on a straight data basis, the way that I look at it, because I don't know any of the players or any of the teams or anything. We do know, I did know a couple players, but they skips my mind. One Mitch something on Toronto, and then we've got that was the player that Joe told me about. Then we have Carter Price. We know him. And
Carey Price.
Is it? I thought it was Carter Price.
No, you're thinking Carter Hart, I think.
Carter Hart. That's it. See? And quick.
So you're already up to 4. You already doubled what you thought you knew.
Well, you got this, man.
I've learned this. And of course Rod's guy, McDavid. Joe's like the anti McDavid and
oh no, I love McDavid. I just want him to step up and be a leader. I don't think he's a good leader. You just think
he's overrated. An underachiever.
He's just not a good leader.
He's an underachiever. It's okay.
Well, when Edmonton gets down, McDavid drops his head. He does not build that team up.
So basically, he's a front runner. He's a bandwagon jumper. He's a front runner.
He is, and he's
kind of like Chris Bryant was on the Cubs. He's kind of like how Chris Bryant was on the Cubs when the year he won the MVP. It's like all his home runs came in 9-1 games. Either they're winning 9-1, losing 9-1. Like all of them were in that situation. None of them, in a 3-2 game when they needed it. Anyways, speaking of bandwagon. What's that, Chris?
I said we digress.
Yes, of course. We always do. That's we could do a whole show called We Digress. Anyways, what do you got today going on in college football? Do you have how many picks you got for us today?
I got 2 today.
All right.
So kick it off with one of the more intriguing games for me in terms of, the term you're going to hear a lot over the next few weeks is style points. And that's simply what teams have to do now, is that they're going to have to beat up on the lesser teams. They're going to have to keep the defense low, and they're going to have to be as dominant as possible. And I think that's what we're going to see with Cincinnati today. As much as I like Navy, and, they had some respectable performances against SMU and Houston in recent weeks, still just got beat by 18 by Memphis on the road, and you're going now to play a Cincinnati team that has won every game by double digits this season, and the 2 games since that Notre Dame game where everybody thought there might be a bit of a letdown, they've outscored UCF and Temple by a combined score of 108-24. So this is a Cincinnati team that simply put just doesn't care. They're on their way. They're on a mission to the college football playoff, and when you're scoring 43.5 points a game and only allowing 13.7, and it makes it hard for other teams to stay in the game, especially when Navy only putting up 17.5 points per game this season, 121st in the country. I'm all over the Bearcats in this one.
Joe, early money here on the Bearcats, who have been putting up the style points, no doubt about it. They've been dominant.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm with Chris on this. I think they just pull away, and they pull away quick in this one. What we're seeing out of Navy is they're not able to get those points on the board against a Cincinnati team that's averaging 43.5 points per game. I think it's just going to be too much for this Navy team to stay competitive. When we look at this under, interesting, 5-2 Cincy on the road, to that under. This total is pretty low, though, so it's one I'm going to stay away from. But interesting, 48.5 for a team, Cincy team that scores 43.5 points per game on average.
That is definitely something to note there, because that just shows that maybe Navy's going to play a little keep away here, or at least that the odds makers suspect that it's a possibility. Those guys are generally pretty good at this stuff. I'm just befuddled with the rankings, and I've gone on this. I've been talking about it for days. I just don't understand the rankings, and I don't understand style points. But I see a scenario where Cincinnati wins out and doesn't make it, and the scenario is this: Georgia wins out, loses in the SEC championship game to an Alabama team that wins out from where they are. Ohio State, Michigan, or Michigan State win out from where they are now, and Oklahoma wins out. That's 4 of those in. Cincinnati out is the way that would look from here. If you're going to give Ohio State the number 5 ranking and against an Oregon team who's 10th, they have the same record. Ohio State has 0 wins over ranked teams. They beat Akron, they beat Tulsa, they beat Rutgers. Yet they're 5 spots ahead of an Oregon team that beat them in Columbus, heads up, and not like a lucky win or anything like that. They slaughtered them. I understand that Oregon lost to Stanford, but they have identical records, and they played head-to-head. They're 5 slots behind. If that's possible, then my scenario of Cincinnati running the table and being the number 2 ranked team in the polls, not making the college football playoff, is certainly possible as well, especially if one of those Big Ten teams, Michigan, Michigan State, run the table, or Ohio State wins out. I could see a scenario where Oregon wins out and Ohio State wins out, and Ohio State gets in and Oregon doesn't, even though they beat them head-to-head. I mean,
makes no sense.
This is right. I mean, why are we playing the games? The eye test? What eye test did you pass? That Akron win? I'm missing it. I watched the games, and what I saw was a sieve defense against the Ducks. They got absolutely stomped, who were missing their best player, by the way, in that game. And who, not just their best player, the best player in the nation. This year's Chase Young. I don't know. It's okay, Chris. I'll just take your commentary and just totally go off on a tangent. Unrelated. It's my show.
I'm used to it at this point.
It's my show.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone realizes that's going to happen. They've watched the show before.
I'm disgusted. Any opinion on that? Cincinnati missing the playoff, even though they run the table?
I can see it. I mean, it's unfortunate, but I can see it. Just the way that the college football landscape is and has been since this playoff's been implemented, it wouldn't surprise me. I don't think anything would surprise me at this point.
Especially with the cast of characters that we're talking,
Yeah.
Especially with Oklahoma is ranked ahead of, Michigan and Michigan State, teams that have gone on the road and had big wins. This is an Oklahoma team that beat Tulane by 5 points at home in a game that, man, it really came right down to the end, This is a team that beat a two-loss Texas team. It took them to the very last second, giving up 50 points a game. Oklahoma needs to go away. I've said this for years. They just need to go away. Because unless you're going to compete against the better teams, then you should go away. And I think when they go into the SEC, we're not going to have to worry about this anymore because they're going to lose to Vandy. Anyways, that's all I got to say about that for now. Chris, what else you got for us?
Well, you're not going to get rid of them that easy because that's the next game I'm taking a look at in this one. So, I like you said, Oklahoma, just another one of those teams we're probably going to have to talk about at least for the next couple of weeks. And with a game against Kansas, I have a feeling it's still just going to be the same conversation. Kansas, this is a Kansas team that, they started great, with that win over South Dakota. But the thing is, it's still South Dakota, and the Jayhawks, you could argue, could have lost that game outright. And since then, 5 losses, all against FBS teams, allowing at least 41 points in each game. 41 to Texas Tech, 59 to Iowa State, 52 to Duke. And no, that's not basketball, Duke. This is football, Duke. And, Baylor, Coastal Carolina, so they're playing good teams. The problem is they're getting stomped. And the same thing for Oklahoma. They've had a ton of close games this season. The win over TCU last week was the first game against an FBS team that they won by double digits this season. The problem is for me that there's just a talent gap that's a mile wide and about, mile deep between Kansas and Oklahoma, who's seemingly come alive since Caleb Williams took over at quarterback. I think Oklahoma wins this one in a rout, and don't be surprised if you see Spencer Rattler in the second half trying to prove that he's not done yet. I think you see a big, big statement win from Oklahoma here. Lincoln Riley's not the kind of coach to take his foot off the gas, so give me the Sooners in a rout.
So, I'm seeing a lot of comments about my commentary about Ohio State and Oregon, and I see a comment here: the Ohio State quarterback wasn't ready. Ohio State's going to run the table. They beat them head to head. What bigger, tiebreaker do you need? If they beat them head to head. Traditionally, college football, every Saturday is a playoff game. That's the way it's traditionally has been. It doesn't matter. They beat them head to head. There's no bigger. There's no bigger. We had a very similar scenario to this it was 2000. Okay, Miami and Florida State. Miami had lost to Washington. And at Washington, they had a bad call. It was before replay. Santana Moss was in, and they called him out, and they would have won the game. They lost. But Florida State then went to Miami, and Miami beat them. Ken Dorsey hit Shockey for a touchdown. One of those Miami-Florida State games. The place was going nuts. And that was the Santana Moss, like the interview, the big-time players make big-time plays and big-time games. It was that one. Remember? It was going crazy. Him and Reggie Wayne. Anyways, it ended up that Florida State went to the national championship game and played Oklahoma that year. Yeah, over Miami, even though they had identical records and Miami had beaten them head-to-head. And Oklahoma, that was the last time they won a national championship. And it was ridiculous. And it was like, it was the same thing, style points. Throwing deep against Clemson, up by 28 in the fourth quarter. That's what Florida State was doing, to rack up 35-point wins, 40-point wins. And Miami refused to do it because they had the reputation of doing it. And, the thing about that Clemson game when Bobby Bowden was racking up the points, his son was coaching the other team. That's made it even worse. Anyways, Joe, what do you think of this Oklahoma thing?
Yeah, so I like Oklahoma in this spot. Huge spread, though. And I do see Caleb Williams probably coming off in, the fourth quarter here, and Spencer Rattler taking the field, and some of their other starters also coming off. I'd be looking at the first half spread for Oklahoma over the whole game. I just think it's a safer way to go with this. Yes, Lincoln Riley doesn't like to take his foot off the gas, but he's not stupid and doesn't want his players hurt either. So Oklahoma first half, I would go with this one.
So before I block Wesley Lua from our chat, I want to say that, you can disagree with us, whatever, but if you're going to make false statements, that's not acceptable to me. In the VIP area last night, I hit 5 bets in one game. And he's saying everybody stunk. No, I hit 5 bets. I said take Houston Astros first 5. I said take Houston Astros run line. I said to win the game, take them run line -2.5 and -3.5. And if that didn't pay for your VIP premium membership for the entire year, then you're not betting right. And if you think that was stinking it up, or you're going to tell people that was stinking it up, well, I'm not sure what more I can possibly do for you, but I don't know any other cappers out there that gave out the Astros -3.5. -2.5, I said bet it run line, -2.5, -3.5. The run line was -178. The 2.5 was like 290, and the 3.5 was 400 and change. So it was over plus 1,000 on those bets alone, plus the first 5. I'm not really sure what you're talking about.
No, same with Rod. Rod went 1-1 yesterday too. In that, I don't know what he's talking about. Honestly,
I don't either. But it's like it's not acceptable in my chat.
Yeah,
that's for damn sure. To just make things up. I mean, I know when I stink, and I fully will admit it. I mean, it's all documented. We have hundreds and hundreds of members, so yeah. It's like I gave out. I thought that was like as good as any pick I've ever given out. Astros -3.5. Ruffalo, you hear a lot of Astros -3.5s out there.
No.
Do you know any other people willing to stick their neck out and do that outside that I would do? I don't know any.
No.
I don't know any. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I some people, I guess, they pick and choose. This is the way that things. This is why I didn't want to really do that to begin, because people will pick and choose, and then it's basically they're betting their own bets, and then they lose, right? Instead of whatever. I'm not going to address anymore. I've already said what I was going to say. Anyways, speaking of selling, what do you? I like. I'm rooting for Kansas, but I think Oklahoma. Even though as miserable as they've been against Kansas, they've been terrible against Kansas over the years as far as covering the spread. But, but I think that I don't really like this game. I'm going to Ruffalo it.
It's appropriate.
With a side of powdered sugar?
Pretty much. Some syrup.
Or a side of maple syrup. I don't know which I like better. Ruffalo with a side of maple syrup or Ruffalo with powdered sugar?
I haven't eaten yet.
What do you have for sale
Wesley
today,
says he
Chris?
stands by what he says, even though I gave out clearly 5 picks that won. I gave out 5 picks that won, but everybody got killed. I gave out 5 picks that won, and it paid like plus 1,000. I can't do any better than that. I cannot. Can't do it. I gave out the my NBA pick lost. I think it was, I don't know who it was, but it lost. And my baseball, I had 5 winners there, plus 1,000 or more. Anyways, Chris, what are you selling?
For me, I got my Saturday Super 7 today. If you want complete coverage from top to bottom, got you covered over at the website. Or if you just want to get in on the early action, I got a 3-pack going off from 12 to 4 today. Some great college football action on the board today, and I don't want you guys to miss out. So go on over to Pick Dogs Premium, check it out. And if you want to take advantage of that hockey package that Mitch mentioned earlier with me and Rod Zawacki, we got the Puck Dogs package, tearing it up on the ice, and it's only going to get bigger and better. So go over to Pick Dogs and check it out.
All right. Well, Chris Ruffalo, thanks for joining us. You coming on tomorrow?
I will be here with bells on.
All right. Well, it's my birthday. I expect a cake.
I'll make you something.
Okay. Well, it's something.
Are you going to sing happy birthday, Chris? I'm leaving that up to you.
Chris always sends out the video. He has like a really good, he has a really cool video that he sends out.
Yeah, I'll probably send that to Mitch.
It's like a rock song. Happy birthday, Mitch.
Chris, best of luck in all your bets today.
You know what my favorite hockey song is?
What?
Well, I'd say it every morning. Chris, do you know my favorite hockey song? Rod knows it. Dun 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 dun.
That is the best when they start playing that at a game.
Anyways, thanks, Chris, for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.
Appreciate it.
That was Chris Ruffalo, of course, one of the Puck Dogs. Take a look in the green room, see what's going on. Got Al McMorty up next. Of course, one of the pros out there. So far, so good today. Kind of going through it. Let's see. Joe, any line moves or anything that you see out there that are catching your eye?
Nothing that I've been looking at while people have been talking here. There is quite a few moving, though. Like, even when we look at just movement over the week, if you like Georgia Tech plus the points, they did open at +8. They're down to 6.5 right now. That's one that I definitely will be staying away betting later tonight with that movement. I like Georgia Tech plus earlier.
All right. Well, I've got Al with us now. It's just Al, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. Good morning, guys.
Morning. It's less guests than usual, but I'm more flustered than ever. I'm still, I don't know.
It's NBA season, right?
I'm still irked about the polls, the college football polls. It's like I love college football so much, and it's like every year the polls, I find them super frustrating. And this year, no difference to me. I've been discussing all morning about a scenario where Cincinnati doesn't make the playoff, which I'll be honest with you. If they make the playoff, they're going to get rung up. I mean, they're going to get rung up in the playoff. There's no doubt about it. Any of the teams that they play, they're going to get slaughtered. Maybe Oklahoma they would have a shot at. But any of the other teams, they would get killed. But, how is Ohio State 5th and Oregon 10th? They played head-to-head. It was at Columbus. It was not a close game. To me, there's eye test, there's all this other stuff, but, head-to-head, to me.
At the end of the day, you have to give merit to the head-to-head game.
Yeah, and they don't give any because they're both 5-1. Now, so Ohio State's loss came to a ranked team, but it's that team, and Oregon's loss did not come to a ranked team. Ohio State's wins for the eye test, right, are Akron, Tulsa, Minnesota, Rutgers, and Who was the other one? It was Maryland. So those are their 5 wins. Okay, not a ranked team, or very few teams with even winning records among the entire bunch. Yet they're 5 slots ahead of Oregon, who beat them head to head without their best player. So their quarterback is playing better now than he was. It doesn't matter. That was the day that he was supposed to play well, to me. And Oregon was missing their best player, who is the best player in the country. Basically, this year's Chase Young. Did not play in that game as well. And then you also have other Big Ten teams like Michigan and Michigan State, who are both undefeated. And as much as, I don't appreciate those teams as much.
They won't be next week. One of them will lose.
Right. One of them will lose next week. And, I know you went to Michigan, so I'll be, a little nicer than I normally am.
No, I mean, look, Michigan has been arguably the worst or second worst team from the big name teams, this worst or second worst team of, what they've accomplished in the last 50 years.
But this year, I believe what they have accomplished is a better body of work than what we've seen from Ohio State, as when you look at the entire body of work and the eye test. I think that winning that game at Wisconsin and then really, putting the hammer down at the end of that game. And I don't think you can discount that Nebraska win either, because this, even though it's not, the great Tom Osborne Nebraska teams, winning in Lincoln is never easy.
No, Michigan's having a really nice year, but all of this gets sorted out, and it's great to talk about around the water cooler. But we'll get there. And if Cincinnati gets left out, if they're number 5, well,
I mean,
the way it goes.
The thing is, I could see a scenario where they're ranked where they are, number 2, and still be on the outside looking in. If Ohio State runs the table the rest of the way, or Michigan State ends up undefeated by some chance, right? So it'll be one of those 3. Oklahoma, and then if Georgia runs the table the rest of the season, loses in the SEC championship to an Alabama team that runs the table the rest of the way, I could see a scenario where Cincinnati is the number 2 ranked team in the country and not in.
Well, they won't. Well, they won't be number 2. They'll move them down, and they'll be number 5. But it's, from my perspective, it's almost like that Ohio State Michigan from 15 years ago, that game where Michigan may have been the second best team in the country, but they lost to Ohio State. So I looked at it as you had your bite at the apple. You don't get to move on. You don't have a rematch with Ohio State. If Alabama plays Georgia, the winner should move on, and Cincinnati should be the 4th team.
And then Ohio State ended up getting rung up by Florida, right, in the championship game as a 7-point favorite. Right? And they got rung up by Florida, or was it the year they got rung up by LSU?
I can't remember.
They got rung up twice in a row. Once was by LSU, the year that Ted Ginn scored the opening touchdown. They jumped on his leg and broke it. That was the one of the years, and then the next year they were a big favorite against Florida, and it was not one of the better Florida teams, but Urban Meyer got them again.
Yeah, I just think the SEC championship game should be the national quarterfinal, much like the Giants Dodgers was. It wasn't. One team moves on, the other team, sorry, you lost.
Well, I think you go to the 16-team playoff. All of the conference champions get in, and the conference championship is a playoff elimination game, regardless of record. All the conference champions go in, and then you have some at large, and there's criteria, and it's probably going to be whoever has the highest TV ratings. Will be the next ones in. I mean, let's call it what it is. It's like these teams are going to make us the most money, so that's why they're ranked there. Instead of just saying the eye test or all this other crap. I mean, just call it what it is. I mean, it's kind of like the NFL free agent. I always wanted to be a Bear, my entire life. No, they paid me $1 more than anybody else would. I mean, just say it. We all know it. We know the answer. Anyways, Al, week 8, college football. How do you like the card?
For me, it's top heavy. It's a decent card. I've got 2 really, really strong plays. I'll talk about what I've got maybe after the games we talk about here, what I've got for sale at Pick Dogs. But I got one of my strongest plays of the season going today. I can talk about that later. So.
Well, what have you got for a free pick for us?
Oh, let's go 2 free plays. First, let me ask you guys, I don't know the answer to this question. How do you pronounce the name of the backup quarterback for New Mexico? Is it CJ Montez? Is it CJ Montes, or is it CJ Mont?
I think it depends on who is. I think it depends on who the announcer is.
Well, I actually tried to find out. I tried to watch some videos on YouTube, and I watched a couple, and it was obvious the interviewer didn't know how to pronounce his name because he refused to say his last name. He just called him CJ.
That's a great plan. I love it.
I do that in my videos on YouTube too. I do when I don't know how to pronounce the guy's last name.
Okay, so let's talk about him. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
They always have a press kit. They have a press kit for every game, and in the press kit, it will phonetically spell pronounce these guys' names. So we'll see if we could find it. Press kit, New Mexico football.
New Mexico, he's a backup quarterback. So they've got 3 quarterbacks on their roster right now. Terry Wilson, the erstwhile starter, he may play in this ball game, but he's got an injury to his non-throwing elbow. I don't think he's going to be the choice. Then you've got CJ. He started last week, and he did something historical. He led their offense to the worst amount of yards in the history of Mountain West Conference in a Mountain West game. They got 69 total yards of offense in their 36-7 loss last week. So he could get the nod for this game, but my guess is they're going to go to what's behind door number 3, and that's Isaiah Chavez. So we'll see who they start at quarterback. They're 0-7 against the spread this season. I don't think any of the choices are going to be good. They're going to play Wyoming. Now, Wyoming's also on a losing stretch. They're 0-3 ATS, their last 3. And last week, they had an awful game as well. They were shut out at home by Fresno, 17-0. So you've got 2, arguably bad choices in this ballgame. I'm going to take Wyoming here. For a couple of reasons. Number one, they've got revenge. They actually lost last year to New Mexico by a point as a 14.5-point favorite. And I think that's going to serve them, to motivate them today. Another reason is that, if I've got a situation, 500 or better teams that are favored by more than 6 points, and they're a 20 or 20.5-point favorite in this ballgame. If those teams scored 3 or less points at home in the previous game, those teams have covered 67% going back to 1980. So I'm going to take Wyoming and, hold my nose. Usually I don't like to go against a team that's 0-7 against the spread. Usually those teams tend to find their way and eventually, get into the win column, but I'm going to go against New Mexico here.
Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, I've got to agree with you in this one. I really don't see New Mexico being able to do much. I see both of these defenses pretty similar, but I think Wyoming's offense just will be able to get that edge on them. 20 points scares me, to be honest with you, but I think they still get it done. They find a way. I hear you on the revenge factor. I think that's huge, something we really need to consider because these teams do remember those games that they just lost, and especially when they were such a big favorite. I love that stat, actually.
Yeah, there's another revenge angle I like. If you get a revenge-minded team that's favored by more than 11 points, and if that team is off a straight-up loss at home, so now you've got that extra motivation because you just got embarrassed in front of your home fans. Those teams are 46-17 ATS. So, yeah, I agree with you with the revenge as well. Combined with how they lost last year as a huge favorite, I think this is going to be a statement game for Wyoming. I'm going to lay the points.
Absolutely. Great call.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. I'm not a big New Mexico guy. And, I generally, the teams that really stink, I think we saw it like with UNLV the other day against San Jose State. Eventually, it all comes to a crashing halt, But, when you have the offer, but I don't know. Wyoming's been so disappointing too in a lot of these spots. It's a problem. It's kind of like, wow. It's
pick your poison in this
game.
Yeah,
this is a tough one. Wyoming. Yeah, I think this is why they want to legalize mushrooms in Canada. Games like this. It's like
talking about the CFL. Okay.
The other team I want to talk about is my alma mater, who we kind of just touched on, the Michigan Wolverines with Jim Harbaugh this year. And, they've got that game against Michigan State next week. They come off a week of rest. I think that's a big factor in this ball game. They're going to play Northwestern, and Northwestern's coming in off that upset win against Rutgers. They won that ball game 21-7. And Michigan this year is undefeated. They're 6-0, but they're also 5-1 against the spread. The one loss, of course, was when they were laying a big number to that Rutgers team. And I was actually listening to the radio last night, and the radio guy, he picked in this ball game Northwestern, and he basically used the argument that Michigan is a 3 yards in a cloud of dust team, and that they couldn't do this to Rutgers, where it was just a grinded out game, and they barely won that ball game. And now you saw the Northwestern game. He says it's going to be just like the Rutgers game. But I just have to disagree with his train of thought. First of all, Michigan has a week of rest here, and coincidentally, Northwestern had a week of rest before the Rutgers game. And when you get this week of rest later in the season, and you're at home, and you're a really good team, the rest matters. And I'm going to take Michigan and lay the points, primarily because they're at home with a week of rest and laying a big number. And they're a great team. They're 5-1 against the spread. They're 6-0 straight up. And that's how I look at this game.
Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, I like Michigan for the full game in that spread. But I am looking at Northwestern for the first half to keep it tighter in that first half. You can get them first half plus 14. I think they do, and Michigan pulls away in the second. So that's what I'm looking at.
Pat Fitzgerald's always on my list of guys that I hope Miami hires whenever we're looking for a new head coach, and never is going to leave that Northwestern, unfortunately. No. I think, maybe we get a good booster this time that really offers him the offer, that he can't refuse. But this guy just does more with less, and you have a guy that does less with more on the other side of it. And I know they've done really well this year, but that to me is just a ticking time bomb, and especially this is a trap game in a sandwich spot. This is all those those things, and I pick against Michigan every single week, so I'm not going to change my tune.
But a lot of times, we see it all the time in college basketball. The coaches who did more with less, and then they go to the UCLAs or they go to these big name programs, and then they fall flat on their face. They can't do it at the big name school, so it works the other way as well.
I understand that, but then we also see the other guys that have done more with less, like Matt Rule, who really did a nice job at everywhere he's been. And, you see some other guys too. And Jerry Kill at Minnesota, remember, he's a couple of years gone from there now, but, he did it at Northern Illinois. And, he was like, when he won the little brown jug, he was like, 3 years ago I was coaching it, and he couldn't even tell you the name of the school. He's like, we were lucky if we had 200 people at the game. And just be here is just, he's like, it's amazing. So it works both ways, and it's certain guys the system works, and other guys it doesn't. I just think that Jim Harbaugh, we've seen him do less with more so many times, and he will outcoach himself. The only redeeming thing that I can say about him is that Seattle San Francisco game where he declined the safety, and it was ended up not covering in the game. That was just, I'll never forget it. But I don't know. I just think I'm not laying 23.5 with Michigan in a sandwich game, and with Jim Harbaugh coaching, it's just not going to happen.
Well, I'll throw out one more statistic to try to convince you. Probably won't, but if you get a rested team in the second half of the season and they're favored by more than 21 points against a conference opponent, those teams are 64-35 against the spread. So
the Dogs covered 4 of the last 5 in this series, and Northwestern 5-1 against the number when they play against teams with winning records, and that's a guy that just does more with less. Traditionally, it's not a good. This is not a good Northwestern team. This is not,
and it's and for the last 10 years, it's a really good Michigan team because of course we've been crap the last 10 years.
No, this is the best that they've been at this far, and it's not like, I don't think that it's like above expectations or anything like that. This is the first time that we've seen them not beat themselves, lose. They're not losing those winnable games, right? It's like, oh man, how did we lose to these guys, right? It's like, you're just not seeing that from Michigan this year. They're taking care of business. They got a nice call right before the half against Nebraska. Ends up being a 3-point game It ends up being a 3-point game. It was a 4-point play right before the half, the pass interference call that gave them the touchdown instead of the field goal in that game. And I don't know. It's like they've taken advantage of it. I'm not buying in until I see it. Beat Michigan State, beat Ohio State, beat those guys. And I think I could see him get caught looking ahead here and getting super conservative. That's what he generally does.
Well, the biggest problem for Michigan this year is the schedule. They have to go and play on the road, Michigan State and Penn State. And, that's the hardest part for them is going to be able to, run this gauntlet of teams in the Big Ten. I don't think they're going to do it. But if they do it, then they're a pretty special team. The
thing about Michigan, and, it's that, and people, they wonder why I'm always so harsh on Michigan athletics. And it's because they have everything. They have everything. They have an unlimited budget. They have one of the biggest stadiums in college football. They have a gigantic fan base. They get the top recruits. They get everything. They have very little to show for all of that stuff that they have. Yeah, they've done okay here and there in some sports, but
Mitch,
overall,
I think you can crack on the football. I think it's a misstep to crack on their basketball, their hockey, their baseball. I think they've actually.
Well, what about last year when people were anointing them the national champions? With 3 weeks left to go in the regular season, it's like it was easy money for the rest of us.
Well, look, they got the injury in basketball last year, but Michigan, when you look at what their basketball facilities,
a team like Michigan gets one injury. These guys are stacked. They get the pick of the litter, across the country. So you're saying that Michigan got the bad break with Livers, but
what I'm saying is this for basketball. For basketball, baseball, and hockey, I think Michigan's programs have done very well. Their basketball facilities were subpar for like Chrysler Arena was garbage. And, they couldn't compete with the facilities at Ohio State, much less the ACC. And so I think, Michigan won the championship, in the Steve Fisher era. For basketball, it's not the same as football. You can't compare the two. So I think the job that they're doing lately with, Beeline and what's his name? Juwan Howard, the recruits are getting are great. And I think Beeline and Howard have done really well for that program, but I think the football's been obviously, dog shit.
I don't know. They lost in the Elite Eight.
I think just the success they had, just getting there with Beeline and getting there, was just remarkable. Beeline wasn't getting the great recruits that these Kentuckys were
Wagner
getting.
was a first-round draft choice by the Orlando Magic. This guy, he's a superstar. They had, they were stacked.
I just look at it differently. I think Kentucky is stacked, North Carolina is stacked, Duke is stacked.
They made it.
There's a lot of stacked teams.
You think Oregon State was stacked because they made it further than those jokers?
Well, you can pull out 1 year.
That's what we're looking at.
No, but I'm just saying Michigan made the Final Four. Look at how many years they made the Final Four under Beeline. With teams that weren't as good as the teams they were playing.
You think they had more to work with than Oral Roberts?
I'm comparing them to the Dukes of the North Carolinas and the Kentuckys.
Right, but you're comparing them to the Dukes. This is where I struggle with Michigan athletics. Is you're comparing them to the Dukes and North Carolinas, but their trophy case puts yours to shame. It's not even close.
Who has the second? Well, I don't know. It depends on how you define it. Who has the second most national titles in college football? Do you know who number one is?
Number one is Alabama, right?
Who's number two?
I don't know. I would guess Notre Dame or Oklahoma.
Notre Dame is tied with Michigan, number two.
Yeah, but one of those. You think that Michigan team that went to the Rose Bowl to play the Ducks would have hung with that Nebraska team that they ducked?
Well, they played Washington State.
They would have gotten clobbered.
They would have been an 8.5 point underdog against Nebraska. I understand. I know what the power ratings were. They weren't as good as Nebraska. On the other hand, that they tied for that championship.
They beat Florida 59-14 in the national championship game. The year before, they beat Ray Lewis and Warren Sapp in the Orange Bowl.
But Michigan was number one going into the game, so that was also a going-away gift for Osborne, which I don't have a problem with. Nebraska would have been the 8.5 point favorite had they met on a neutral field. But Michigan was number one going into the game. They beat Ryan Leaf. in the Rose Bowl.
Oh God!
It's not. It's not like it's not like they didn't deserve it. You can only, as you say, you can only play who you play. And Michigan's schedule wasn't as.
They beat Florida 59-14. They had the Heisman winner.
Yeah, Nebraska was a good team.
It wouldn't have been close. If it was a fight, they would have stopped it. This is the good college football. See, this is what it's all about. It's like, and this is why every week is a playoff game, and that is why, it is what it is. But in this scenario of a 14 playoff, it's now just who gets the highest TV rankings.
Sad.
Well, what do you got for sale today, Al? This is a good discussion.
Well,
I'm enjoying it.
I had got my second 5-star of the football season. We won our first 5-star with Georgia. They shut out Arkansas 37-0. As folks know, I don't have very many 5-stars in the 12-month year, usually about 10 to 12. So this is my second one this football season, and it's a conference game of the year. I'm 2-0 in my conference games of the year this season. Last week, I cashed my Mountain West Conference game of the year with Nevada against Hawaii. We had our SEC winner with Georgia against Arkansas. So the third one goes today. It's a rare 5-star play. I'm 32-12 my last 44 conference games of the year. So that's the featured game today. I've got 10 games overall in college football. I've got 3 in the NBA. I'm on a red hot 61-32 run across all sports. I might dip my toe into the water in baseball, depending on who gets announced as a starter. I don't know if it's going to be David Price. Maybe you guys have heard yet. So we're going to have to see who the Dodgers trot out to the mound tonight, and maybe I'll have a baseball play as well. So folks can go to Pick Dogs and jump on board, and we've got the 2-for-1 handicapper special if you want to team me up with one of the other terrific handicappers here.
I enjoyed the college football discussion, and we will see you tomorrow.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Al.
That was Big Al, Michigan alum. So he certainly, we could have brought up the Miami game I was at the Big House when they were down by 16 with 4.5 minutes left to play. It was the game Bo Schembechler had the heart attack on the sideline. But anyways, it was. I love college football, and that's why it's my favorite day of the week. My favorite day of the week during my favorite time of the year. It's kind of, college football has always been, Division I college football has always been that, super subjective. It's like everyone has their opinions, and it's like it doesn't always get settled on the field. To me, where I struggle with it is when it has been settled on the field, and I think it was between Oregon and Ohio State, and it wasn't even close. And what generally happens in these scenarios where they give the team the pass over the other team because they pass the eye test is they get slaughtered in the playoffs. I mean, that's generally what happens in these. The team that passes the eye test rarely goes on to win it all. Never. They've never gone on to win it all, ever. As a matter of fact, they've been shut out more often than not is what happens. But anyway, speaking of shutout, we got Rod Zawacki still to join us. Of course, one of the Puck Dogs. We had Ruffalo earlier with us. And Rod, I just got to get his name tag up here. Oh, and there we go. Good morning, Rod. How are you?
Well, I'm doing good.
I don't know. Did we all lose our picks in the VIP yesterday? I don't think so, but
I don't think so either.
I think
I went 1-1. I went 1-1, and
I was 5-1.
And I hit my home run prop. So
I was 5-1 and hit my props too.
Plus yours.
Yeah. I had the Astros minus 3.5.
Right.
2.5, 3.5, first 5 innings.
The Astros to win on the run line.
Everything.
Minus 2.5, minus 3.5.
I said all the way. Just continue to pile it on in cash, and it was easy money. But anyways, college football Saturday, NHL. We've got today a small card of games, and we've got NBA as well. I know you've got a ton going on today. What do you got for us for college football?
For me, guys, college football. My first play, we're going to go with Buffalo here over the Zips. You look at Buffalo better on both sides of the ball, and Buffalo known for rushing the football, which is what they're going to do here. They're going against Akron's 122nd ranked run defense. I think Buffalo should have no problem running the ball over the Zips here today. You look at the Zips, 6-21 ATS. Their last 27 as a dog, and they're also 2-7 their last 9 versus a team with a losing record. And then you look at the Bulls, 6-1-1 their last 8 following a loss. They're also 4-1 ATS their last 5 versus Akron. I think Buffalo wins this by at least 2 touchdowns. Take the Buffalo
Bulls
minus, but yeah, take the.
I'll help you.
You're finishing each other's sentences. I love it.
Well, he was stuck.
Well, yeah, because Bills wanted to just roll right off my tongue because it's still the me, right? Take the Buffalo Bulls minus the points.
All right, Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Buffalo just has such a stronger defense, and that's going to be key in this game because they're going to be able to limit what Akron's able to do on the field. Buffalo is holding teams to 27.9 points per game, which, yeah, it doesn't sound great, but this Akron team, they're giving up, I don't have the number in front of me, it's got to be, 40 points per game on average.
Not going to get a lot of chances to fade Akron, you'd only get X amount of weeks to work with to fade Akron, in a college football season. So, Buffalo played that game at Nebraska. I think it really hurt a lot of their stats and everything. They just played horrible in that game. So I think that some of their stats are underrated. I think Buffalo's clearly the way better team here. So not this week coming up, but the following week is when we start that Tuesday, Wednesday Maction. With 3 games on Tuesday and 3 games on Wednesday in the first week of November. So, or 2 games on Wednesday, 3 on Tuesday, 2 on Wednesday. So I'm really excited for that. What else you got for us, Rod?
And I'm going to continue with, like I have the last 5 weeks, I'm sticking with the Washington Cougars here. I know all the Rolovich news. He got fired and he left, and there's no coach, and it's the same players that have covered the last 4 weeks for us. They've won 2 games outright. BYU coming into this one, they've lost their last 2 games, and Cougars 0-5 in their last 5 non-conference games. And you look at Washington, they're 5-0 in their last 5 games in October. They're also 8-1 the last 9 in October. They've been rolling along, and I think Washington State Cougars here, I don't know if they win this one outright against BYU, but I think it's a 3-point game all day. So I'm going to take the Washington State Cougars plus the 4 points they're giving you. I think it's a 3-point all day. If not, Washington wins this outright. Wins one for Rolovich. So give me the Washington State Cougars plus the points.
Joe, Cougars on Cougars. Who do you
Cougars
like?
On Cougars. I'm liking the over in this. I think we see a higher total in this, hitting in the 60s. We've got a total. Last time I saw it, it was 57. I still think we hit 60 something. I know it opened a bit lower than that, but both of these teams can put up the points. And I'm not loving a side in this one.
I like Washington State as well. Borderline premium pick for me in this one. I just think that BYU's been getting a lot of love, and I think it's the situation off the field at Washington State that is the story, in this one. And, with Rolovich and his assistants all, being forced to vacate, that's the story here. So that's why BYU would be getting any love at all, because these are 2 teams clearly going in opposite directions. Washington State has been playing their best football of the season, and BYU has been playing their worst. I mean, it doesn't even make sense. The thing is that the whole Rolovich situation, we're not going to go too deep into it here, and it's just not what we do, and I don't, it's just not the time or place for it. But I think the reality of it is it's not like it came from left field. It's like he had made his stand, and they knew that this was very, very much a possibility for many weeks. So it's not something they were caught off guard by, right? It was like this was basically they knew this was going to happen. So I don't know. I'm with you on Washington State. What do you got for sale today at the Pick Dogs?
For me, I've got 2 packages. I've got my college football package, which includes my 10-star executive info play, my 10-star ACC game of the week, my 10-star SEC game of the week, plus 2 more gridiron crushers. You can grab that over at Pick Dogs Premium. Or I've got my 10-star NHL game of the month, my 10-star NHL slap shot, and 2 more NHL slap shot plays that I love as well, along with my NBA rim rocker in another package. So you can get NHL and NBA in one package, or all my college football in another package, all over at Pick Dogs Premium.
Sounds like a lot of 10 stars and a lot of packages.
2 packages. There's 2 different packages.
All right.
College football or hockey and hoops.
Oh, it's got a big package today. Anyways, thanks, Rod, for joining us. And, of course, we'll see you every day here on the show. And we'll see you in just a couple minutes for the premium and VIP shows. So thanks for joining us. That was Rod Zawacki. See him every day here on our Pick Dogs YouTube channel. Well, we are winding it down. We get to our last guest of the day, the one that likes to argue with me the most, and that's Brian. He's probably saved up some ammo on probably everything I've said on the show, but that's okay.
I think we argue with the ones that we know will put up with us.
Yeah, I think so. Well, I think what people see things one way, and it's. I guess I give people what.
There is a lot of love there, you guys. That's what Mitch is saying.
But I think what people see, it's obviously I've done that, so it's. Yeah. I've given them that to work with. So, that's, I own that. I'm not going to sit here and deny or whatever. I own it. It doesn't mean that that's 100% who I am all the time or, what the intentions are, any of those things. But if you see it, I guess that's what you see, right? But you don't see the everything else, and all you see is the tip, right, of the iceberg. And that's. Anyways, speaking of icebergs, Brian, what do you got? What's happening?
Oh, I was 2-0 in the VIP yesterday, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even understand. I do not understand the thing. And
I lost my first bucket prop.
But I gave out a ton of props there using our prop tool, our Sports Chat Plays prop tool. And I think they all hit. I think every single one of them hit.
Also add that Oregon barely got by a 1-win Cal team, so that has something to do with it.
But it doesn't matter. Barely beating someone.
We beat this one.
Yeah, but Ohio State barely beat Tulsa. And that's at home also. They barely.
It's gonna be a moot point because UCLA is gonna knock off Oregon today.
Whatever. If they do, they do. But they haven't yet. And Ohio State barely beat Tulsa. And here they are. The eye test. There's no eye test here.
We need a bigger playoff.
We need a bigger playoff, but if you believe like in this system, then you're just sucker,
No, I just think Ohio State's the better team. I'm not a fan of Ohio State.
They played.
I know.
I have to say, it wasn't like, oh man, if they played 10 times, Ohio State would win 9 of them or 8 of them or 7 of them. They'd win 0. They got shellacked at home. Imagine if it was at Outson what that one would have been.
But if UCLA blows them out today at home, will you admit that Ohio State?
I would say that Ohio State is more deserving of that ranking than Oregon. I wouldn't say they're the better team because they played, and we saw who was the better team. It wasn't even close. It wasn't close. If it was a fight, they would have stopped it.
I better get to my pick.
My nephews both go to Ohio State. Let's just say the parties weren't so great that night. What do you got?
Another pick that you won't like, but I'm on the Michigan Wolverines here, laying the points. Every year it seems that Michigan just don't seem to live up to the lofty expectations for this team. Losing games that they should win and just plain not being very good at covering the spread. But Coach John Harbaugh turned around this year 5-1 against the spread and generally blowing every team that they play off the field with the exception of Rutgers. Michigan off a bye week should be ready to take off today with their head on fire. Northwestern has taken a big step back from last season. Michigan knows it needs to win and blow teams away. They're 7-2 against the spread last 9 as a home favorite. I think it's the best free pick on the board today. I have to agree with Big Al. Take Michigan lay the points.
We went through this one already, Joe.
Yeah, so what I'm seeing out of this one, the more I think about this, the more I love Northwestern for that first half, plus the 14 points. I could see Michigan running away in the second half, but how Michigan plays, they're going to play more of a run game, and they've got a solid defense. They will limit Northwestern's ability to score, but they will run the clock, and I don't see them scoring a lot of points in that first half. So taking Northwestern plus the 14, I definitely think is a great bet today.
I'm taking Northwestern for the game plus the points. I think this is a sandwich spot, a look-ahead spot. Brian always talks about the look-ahead. There's no bigger look-ahead than the Michigan State game next week for Michigan. That is
Ohio State, maybe.
Michigan State is their rival, and it's that in-state. Believe me, it is it's like Draymond Green said when he was at Michigan State. They dislike us. I hate them. And it's like that is the type of game that is. And I expect to see Michigan play super hardball conservative in this one. And I look for Northwestern to at least cover, probably give them a scare.
Could I give out some extra picks?
Absolutely.
As well?
We got
All right.
We have no time, but go ahead.
All right. I like the Miami Hurricanes today, getting the 3.5 points against NC State. I know NC State's ranked, but I think you're going to see Miami continue to improve as the season goes on. And last year, I think they beat them by 3 points in a high-scoring game. I think Miami wins outright, but I'd take that 3.5. I like Tennessee plus 24.5 against Alabama. Just every week, Alabama gets tons of love, and I think this is a 21 to. It's going to be right around that number, but I think the Tennessee pulls out the cover. I like USF Florida Bulls getting that win over Temple. So those are a couple free winners. Also like the Cougars of Washington State, like Rod said. I think it's an excellent pick.
All right. I like Arkansas over Arkansas. Pine Bluff, laying the 51. Joe, you have a pick for us?
Yeah, Eastern Michigan over Bowling Greens. I think they come and get this one done on the road. Both these teams are not good against the run. I'd be looking at an over game in this one as well. So Eastern Michigan.
Just missed my premium list that game. I like that one as well. I like Eastern.
Lots of good games this week.
Yeah, I like a lot of those MAC games this week, to be honest with you. But we have, that's about it. I like Miami as well. I got hammered in the comments on YouTube on that pick. So
easily could win that game.
Yeah,
right.
They came within inches of winning last week, and I think that they'll have a solid chance here, especially that Manny Diaz has not been given the vote of confidence. It was the clear, you're out of here.
The vote of no confidence.
Yeah, it was the vote of no confidence. Everyone will be evaluated at the end of the season. That usually means we're already looking. And I can only hope it's that Matt Campbell from Iowa State. That would be awesome. Anyways, thanks everyone for joining us. Another good show. We appreciate each and every one of you. Premium members, you guys will have that video in the next 5 minutes or so. And VIP members, we'll do the show right after. Probably going to run into the early games, but I didn't have an early game for VIP anyway. So we'll see you guys shortly. Thanks everyone for joining us. We appreciate each and every one of you. Of course, it's my favorite day of the week, during my favorite time of the year, and we will be here tomorrow as well for NFL football, 10 a.m., same start time as today, and then the weekdays at 11 a.m. Joe Madden, once again, wonderful morning with you, and I'm going to try and act more professional tomorrow for you. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you later.